change your thinking, you change your life. It dictates everything else, ladies and gentlemen. It dictates everything else. How you think. We've thought ourselves to this position. We've the life you have right now currently is a product of how you've thought over the past years. If you don't like where you are in any area, when we talk success, sure, there's the monetary success, but just success in any area, whatever that means to you, right? Whatever that means to you, those successes, that whatever that is, you've thought yourself into this position. Take full ownership of that and know that you can change it. We start by changing our thoughts, right? Sometimes we're not doing the stuff that we know. And so it's all we need the reminders. We need the reminders. One of the things he said in there is, right, waking up with gratitude. I know I've shared that with you guys a bunch. How much are you taking that into account in your life? When you wake up, are you flooding your mind with gratitude? Is it the first 5 things you think about? Man, God, thank you for waking me up. Glad I have a house. Glad I have a bed. Man, I have family, people that love me. I got my senses, right? I can see the sun. Things are good. I'm going to have a great day. Like, is that how your brain operates immediately when you wake up? If not, then that's probably something that you can change. It's probably a habit you can start to put in place so that you can start to get some of the things that you need to receive for the day when you start it with gratitude, right? Talk about the difference between positive thinking and negative thinking. Of course, we're always going to have things external of us that are happening, but are the dominant thoughts you have negative or the dominant thoughts positive? Do you believe that your life can be different? Do you believe that whatever it is that you're about to make happen, whatever the goals are, whatever you see up ahead, do you actually believe that you can make that happen? If not, we have to change our beliefs, right? He said something in there about getting out of your own way. Get out of your own way. If you have a belief, if you have a dream, if there's something that you want to make happen, you got to get that little bit of doubt, that negativity, that other side. You know what I'm talking about? That thing that tells you, like, I don't know. It's going to be hard. I don't know if you can really do it. I don't know if that's for you. I don't know if that's what, right, your purpose is. I don't know if that's what you'll like. Like, those things are the things that the self-talk that talk us out of our goals, talk us out of our dreams, talk us out of the life that we're actually called to live. So we have to be mindful of those things. Normally, I share the book 177 Mental Toughness Secrets with you, but James Allen has a book called As a Man Thinketh. If you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. It comes from scripture, but at the end of the day, he wrote a book, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, right? It's a great book, talks basically about all the things that I'm telling you right now. I have a little snippet from the book that I'll show you really quickly. There's an app called Blinkist. If you don't know, like, it summarizes books for you, right? So you can read a lot of books. Those of you that want to consume a lot of books, it's called Blinkist. It'll allow you to kind of take a book and it'll put it into like 15-minute segments for you and just summarize the whole book. It's really great. Anyways, here's what it says for the book, As a Man Thinketh. I screenshotted this so I could read it to you. The first chapter of this Blinkist basically summarizes a little bit of what we're talking about. It says, by mastering our thoughts, we can change our lives. This is like directly out of the book, but summarized. It says, ever sat and wondered what makes us humans what we are? It's a puzzling question. So here's a clue to start you off. Man is the sum of his thoughts. Man is the sum of his thoughts. Just as a plant sprouts from a tiny seed, each action we perform is an outgrowth of our thoughts. From these actions, patterns emerge. In turn, these patterns come to constitute our character. Our character or personality begins with our thoughts. I'm just going to stop there because this is when you hear a guy like Steve Harvey or somebody like me say, if you change your thinking, you change your life. It's because it's deeper. When you change your thoughts, it changes who you are as a person. It changes your character. That's what it says. It says, each action we perform is an outgrowth of our thoughts. So the actions you take on a daily basis, how you choose to walk to work or drive to work, how you choose to handle your family, what you choose to eat, like all the things, right, are an outgrowth of our thoughts. It says from these actions, you have patterns. This is when people get to the place of, that's just who I am. I've been that way. That's because you thought that way. And then you created patterns around your actions. And in turn, those patterns constituted your character, like your being, like who you actually are. So that's why when we say you change your thinking, you can change your life, because you're actually changing who you are by changing your thoughts. Anyway, it says our character or personality begins with our thoughts. But why is this important? Well, have you ever known someone who always seemed to give up on a projects or relationships and at the same time had a pretty pessimistic attitude? You guessed it, those two things, attitude and action, are closely related. Underachievers tend to disappoint themselves because they think very little of themselves to begin with. Attitude problems often snowball and yet have severe consequences. Yet there's a very simple solution. If our thoughts shape our character, it's only logical that changing our thoughts will change our character too. By changing the nature of their thoughts, pessimistic people might find that they have a bit more to smile about. Anyone who attempts to master his thoughts can do much more than eliminate negative character traits. By working on his thoughts the right way, an individual can even obtain what the author refers to as divine perfection. In other words, by weeding out bad or useless thoughts, a person can bring joy, strength, peace, and wisdom into his life. Say that again. In other words, by weeding out bad or useless thoughts, a person can bring joy, strength, peace, and wisdom into his life. We all need more of those things. And it starts by weeding out those bad and useless thoughts. Those are some pretty attractive benefits, is what it says. So why not start mastering your thoughts today? The alternative, after all, isn't pretty. Unmanaged thoughts can make you into your biggest unmanaged thoughts can make you into your biggest obstacle. Negative attitudes literally have the power to destroy the things you cherish and love. Getting out of your own way. Unmanaged thoughts can make you into your biggest obstacle. You don't know how to manage your thought life. Your thoughts run rampant. You allow any thoughts in. In scripture, it says we're able to capture thoughts, right? Take them into captivity. That means if you have a thought, it does not mean that you have to keep that thought. It means you can capture it and say, I don't agree with that. I put that aside. But do you do that? Do you think about what you're thinking about? This is how we change our life, ladies and gentlemen. This is how the outcomes of your life change. When you change your thinking, right? You change how your beliefs, it changes your character. It changes your actions. It changes what you choose to watch and not watch, where you choose to spend time, who you choose to talk to. That's what changes. And then you get different outcomes. You get different results. Same old thinking, same old results. If you are the same person as you were before, you will get the same outcomes because you think the same way. Simple, simple. None of this stuff is very complicated. It's not rocket science. It's just hard. It's just hard, right? It's not easy, but it's very simple. And so this is the stuff we have to pay attention to if we say we want our lives to change, right? If we say we want our lives to change. The side in here that talks about, right, pessimistic people find that they might have a bit more to smile about. If you actually start to change like your thoughts, you start to find the things to be more grateful for. You start to find the things that you can look towards to give you hope. But if you're constantly taking in things that are basically causing your thought life to go all over the place, to be unmanaged, it's going to be really difficult for you to change your life. It's going to be really difficult to change the outcomes, right? So we have to make sure that we're paying attention to these things. This part where it says underachievers tend to disappoint themselves because they think very little of themselves. You probably never thought about that if you've ever underachieved, or if you've ever been like, I've never been able to do something. Maybe you never got to the point of thinking that like you don't think too highly of yourself. You might not. It's a tough conversation to have. Sometimes we don't want to think about those types of things. But if you don't speak well of yourself, it's likely you don't get good things externally. If you don't right? Like again, I learned this from Mel Robbins. Give yourself a high five in the mirror every morning. Just high five yourself in the mirror. There's a she says there's something that fires off in our brain that like we when we give someone a high five, it's like automatic like dopamine that kind of comes in because we don't give a high five being sad or whatever the case is. So what if you high five yourself every morning? I've done this plenty of mornings. I high five myself and be like, man, Chris, you're a stud. Man, you're awesome. Right? Just high five myself after I brush my teeth. Just give myself encouragement. I think highly of myself, not too highly, right? But I believe in myself. That's what we need if we want to go off and achieve the things that we want to achieve in life. You have to be able to think yourself into, right, being the person that you want to be. It all starts with our thoughts. So, how do we change our thoughts? You've heard me say this a bunch. We got to start listening to better things, reading better things, getting around better people, eliminating negativity, doing the things that are filling our minds with the thoughts we need to go off and design the life that we want. That's what we have to do, ladies and gentlemen. We have to fill our minds with the thoughts, right? With the thoughts that are going to help us get to the life that we want. That is the key to it. I dropped that link in there, right, Veronica, for the video. So that's for your Monday morning. You change your thinking, you change your life. I might get a tattoo of that. I haven't gotten a tattoo in years, but I might, right? Because I say it so often, because it's just the truth. You change how you think, it'll change your character. It'll change who you are as a person. If you still feel like you're the same person as you were 5 years ago, you haven't changed your thought life. You've probably been consuming the same things or similar things or been around the same people or have had the same friend group or like the same TV shows or watch the same things on Netflix or have a similar social media pattern, right? Like you probably are in a pattern that you haven't identified yet. The moment you can break that pattern, completely break the pattern and do something different, your life will change because you'll change. Your thought life changes, your character changes, where you spend time changes, who you choose to let in your life changes, the information you choose to let in your life changes. My wife used to hate this part of me, and now, right, it's a blessing, right? But like when I was really serious making this shift, because we all have to make a decision to make this shift. It doesn't just come and just naturally, like life will keep you distracted. You have to make the shift. I made the shift from going from playing video games and watching ESPN and taking my days off and leisure time and all the stuff to full personal development. I went extreme. I cut off the television. I cut off the radio. I cut off secular music. I cut off all of it. I went straight into personal development. I got nothing else in entering in. There was a point in time that if my wife spoke negative or someone around her in her family spoke negative, I literally walked out the room. They said I was rude. They said that, right? Like there was conflict there because I was that serious of shielding myself. I wouldn't even allow it in my life. Someone starts yapping, hey, I got to roll. And I would just leave. I just walk out the room. Some of you aren't that extreme yet. Some of you still allow your negative friend to vent on you because you think it's the right thing. Not if you want to get to the life you want. You got to cut some of that out. You got to get very narrow and focused on the life that you want and then start blocking out the things that are not helping you get to that life. This is why I can have these conversations with you because I've done it. I've been very extreme. Sure, after some time, I got control of it. I let some of those things back in, right? I wasn't as extreme about walking out the room when someone's negative, right? Because now I can literally just have it go in one ear, out the other, not process it. But in the very beginning, when I'm trying to switch, couldn't do it. Couldn't listen to music. I couldn't watch ESPN anymore. I couldn't listen to people that were negative. And I literally took a couple years to just get it out of my life. And because of that, I have now more emotional intelligence, more control over my thought life. I have more control over it. Therefore, my life can be different. I would challenge some of you for this month coming up. If you haven't done this in September, I would challenge you in the month of October to really get serious about your thought life, about what you're allowing in, what you're processing, what you're listening to, how it's coming in, because that becomes what your life is. As a man thinketh, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So at the end of the day, however you are thinking, the messenger might leave, but the message will stay if you're not mentally strong enough. Someone just yaps at you, your coworkers, whatever it is, the news, we're about to go into this whole election cycle. It's already going to get crazy. Watch what you let in, because that is who you will become. And if we're going to go off and design a life we don't need a break from, we got to do some things different. I talked about this on Friday. We got to be a little bit weird. We got to be a little bit irrational. Some of the things that we talk about, it's like, I don't know if I would do that. That would be off-putting to people. We got to be a little bit irrational if we want to go off and design our life. But I know you guys can do it. It's possible. You have to have the belief that it's possible and then go make those changes. All right. I love you guys. Enjoy your Monday. Do something today that scares you, pushes you out of your comfort zone, changes who you believe you are, so that you can go off and design your ideal life, because people are counting on you to take this information and do something with it. All right. We'll see you back here on Wednesday for the first episode, I guess, or for the first call of October. And we'll get things rolling then. All right. Take care. Love you guys.